Well, as the United States of America has taken over the G20 presidency, Washington, D.C. has indicated that it won't invite South Africa to its Miami summit next year. Meanwhile, the Norwegian embassy is reflecting on Pretoria's G20 presidency and some of its achievements. Khayelihle Khumalo joins us now from the Norwegian residence in Pretoria. Khayelihle, a very good afternoon to you. In fact, I do remember it was Norway's ambassador who actually congratulated South Africa for its G20 presidency, but also, more importantly, for adopting the Africa engagement framework. Talk to us about what you are hearing there and also what's happening.
Well, absolutely, Nati. Norway has always been a staunch supporter of South Africa. With G20, we saw them attending all the meetings. It's been one of the really major talking points in South Africa, especially in this context as well, Nati, where we've seen South Africa's International Relations and Cooperation Minister Lamola responding to his U.S. counterpart, Marco Rubio, speaking about South Africa's G20 presidency, the whole issue that Pretoria is a founding member of the G20 presidency, but joining us now is the Norway ambassador, in fact, an outgoing ambassador, Sada, should I say. So, Ambassador, let's go straight to that issue of G20. A short while ago, you reflected on this milestone for South Africa, where we saw also your Prime Minister showing unwavering support for South Africa, especially in a very turbulent time geopolitically.
Yeah, first of all, Norway was very honored to be invited as a guest country by South Africa. So we participated in all working groups, all ministerial meetings. And we agree very much with South Africa's priorities. If you just take the three key words, solidarity, equality, sustainability, it's just like reading a pamphlet from a political party in the Nordic region. So the world is going through a very turbulent era. But we have the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, which we have to fight for. We have to try to reach them, and South Africa put them at the heart of the G20 presidency, and we very much supported that.
And obviously, Ambassador, we look at now the developments from Washington, D.C., now the backlash that South Africa won't be invited. Maybe just your reading of the situation as Norway. I mean, we still remember the declaration from South Africa. It did speak about the Troika, where the U.S. has taken over, the U.K. will take over in 2027, and then it's going to go to Korea. Just your reading of this current, very untenable situation.
Well, Norway is not a permanent member of G20, so we are only invited by the presidency. So, but what I can say is that if you look at the bigger geopolitical picture, Africa must have a bigger seat at the table in international politics. South Africa's G20 presidency was part of that. You cannot have one continent that is not present in the big global discussions. So we think it's very important that South Africa is there. They organized the presidency very well. It's very unfortunate, and we don't understand why they should be excluded, of course. That's very hard to comprehend.
Ambassador, before I let you go, your term in Pretoria is coming to an end. One of the very influential capitals in Africa. Maybe just your highlight, your experience here in terms of fortifying the bilateral ties between Oslo and Pretoria. We know that it's dating back to the 60s when Albert Luthuli got the Nobel Peace Prize. So just your highlight here in South Africa.
Yeah, no, I think there's been many important events. You had the BRICS chairmanship in 2023. Yeah, the G20, but there has also been these radical changes in international relations. For Norway, as a neighbor to Russia, obviously Russia invaded Ukraine. That's a big concern for us. It's also a big concern for us when Israel is violating international law on the Gaza Strip. And I think here we found a lot of common ground with South Africa. Multilateralism is key. International law is key. And for Norway, though, the self-determination of people on this continent, the fight against apartheid, the support to self-determination of Palestine, the support to self-determination of Ukraine. It's about the same principle. It's about freedom, self-determination, situation. We cannot let might is right policy decide on the world, because that's going to end in another catastrophe that we have been through so many times earlier in the history of the world. So we have to stick on the principles, and we find South Africa to be a very good ally on that. One example is the International Criminal Court, for example, key issue. And we have also worked together in the International Court of Justice regarding humanitarian access in the Gaza Strip and Palestine. So we are very close with South Africa, and countries like ours with the same values, we have to stick together.
Are you going to miss Biltong, Ambassador?
I'm gonna miss two things. A lot of sun and a lot of smiling people, because I can tell you, if you go around in Norway in December, you're not going to see a lot of smiling people.
Okay, all right. Ambassador Sather, all the best, endeavors. So Unathi, that's the outgoing Norwegian ambassador, really just taking us through to his experience in South Africa. And another issue, once again, being reaffirmed, the warmth of South Africans, and also a lot of delegates during the time of that major summit at Nasrec that was speaking about very fine hospitality right in the southern tip of Africa. So with that, back to you in studio.
Important words there from the Ambassador. Khayelihle, thank you so much for that. Of course, it does come as those tensions between the US and South Africa. In fact, earlier on, South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that South Africa will not be lobbying any sovereign state to boycott Sherpa meetings or the G20's Leaders Summit under the presidency of the United States of America. He said that a little earlier on. Of course, we're monitoring that for you.